No, but I have to file my taxes still. And I was like, are you crazy? Wait, are we recording?
Oh, yeah, we're recording.
Oh, we're recording. Good morning, good evening, good night. Babes, whenever you're listening,
Yeah.
we are here and we love you.
We are so happy you're here with us in the Snark Squad because honestly, we need the emotional support today.
I really do. Like,
Yeah.
I am barely holding it together.
The sheer volume of pop culture destruction we have to get through is staggering. It's a lot.
Okay, babes, before we get into the absolute collapse of reality television today, we need to talk about this morning.
Oh, God. Yes.
Because my morning was literally a psychological thriller, but it was nothing compared to what we're going to discuss today. We went out for breakfast before coming to the studio, right? Cute, calm, responsible.
Yeah, we thought we were giving, like, productive, highly functional bestie energy, just two functioning adults getting a little caffeine.
Right. Little breakfast sandwich to start the day.
Uh,
But, babes, Burger King in the morning?
The intention was pure. The execution, however, felt like we stepped onto the set of a dystopian film.
Explain to us why the Burger King drive-thru was packed, wrapped around the building.
At 9 in the morning.
It was a parking lot, a literal parking lot of sedans.
I am still trying to regulate my nervous system over this. Who is ordering a Whopper when the dew is literally still on the grass?
Well, you were genuinely distressed. Like, you kept rolling down the window.
In case I needed air.
You were taking a deep breath of the exhaust fumes and muttering like, the grease, the onions at this hour. The sun just came up.
Because it makes no sense. Are we living in a simulation?
I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, but...
Is there a secret underground breakfast menu that I don't know about? Like an exclusive society of people who require flame-broiled beef to kickstart their Wednesday? I was looking into the windows of the cars next to us, trying to understand the demographic.
You were intensely staring at strangers. There was a lady in a full corporate pantsuit, a tailored pantsuit, going to get a burger at 9 a.m. I felt like I was trespassing in a completely different dimension.
Well, I was trying to rationalize it in the passenger seat. You have to assume there are systemic explanations here, right?
I quit.
First of all, the night shift demographic. For an ER nurse or a factory worker, 9 a.m. is essentially 5 p.m. It's dinner time.
Okay, fine. I'll give you the nurses.
Or, alternatively, it's the ultimate desperate hangover cure. A massive, greasy, carb-loaded burger to soak up whatever catastrophic decisions they made on a Tuesday night.
A Tuesday night bender is crazy.
It is, but honestly, even giving them that grace, I have to question the psychological state of the 9 a.m. BK demographic. It requires a level of emotional fortitude to look a drive-thru worker in the eye and ask for extra pickles before 10 a.m. I just don't possess that detachment.
I don't either. I just wanted a little iced coffee and maybe a hash brown, and the smell of the fryer oil mixed with the morning fog genuinely felt ominous. It was dark.
It was a heavy vibe.
But okay, speaking of things that defy logic and entirely bizarre behavior, apparently baths are out.
Yes, the internet has spoken.
Babes, what do you mean baths are out? Like the concept of bathing.
Well, the algorithm has decided that sitting in a bathtub is no longer culturally acceptable. And as someone who relies on that specific ritual to maintain my sanity, I am feeling personally targeted.
Wait, you are still a bath person?
Firmly team bath. Like babes, nothing beats a hot girl bath. It is a vital emotional reset.
Oh, no. Wait.
Yes. You get the eucalyptus Epsom salts, you light the excessively expensive candles you bought on a whim, you put on a carefully curated acoustic playlist, and you put your phone on absolute do not disturb.
Okay, that sounds like a spa, not a bath in an apartment.
It is the only place in the modern world where you are truly unreachable. It's a sanctuary.
Okay, absolutely not. I am pushing back hard on this. I am fiercely, aggressively team shower. Baths are disgusting.
It's disgusting.
You are literally sitting in a porcelain bowl of your own human soup.
Okay, let's examine the physics of bathing before we resort to calling it human soup. If you shower off first, the bath is pure purification.
Nobody has the time to take a pre-shower before their bath. That is two separate water events.
It's about the process.
You get in, you're trying to get clean, but the dirt just floats around you. Plus, who has the time? A shower is efficient. You get in, you do your business, you do your little exfoliating scrub, and you get out.
But where is the relaxation in that? You're just standing there performing manual labor.
A bath is a 2-hour commitment. You get pruned fingers, the water gets tepid and lukewarm after 20 minutes.
If your water's getting cold in 20 minutes, you didn't draw the bath correctly.
It always gets cold.
A proper soak requires near boiling water. You need to look like a freshly cooked lobster when you emerge.
And then you're just sitting there, freezing, naked, staring at the ceiling, and contemplating all your life failures.
But the contemplation of life failures is the entire point. You process the trauma in the water water absorbs your existential dread, and then you drain it away. It's symbolic.
Have you ever tried shaving your legs in a bath?
Well, I mean,
It's a full-body athletic event.
Yeah.
So you're doing gymnastics, trying to keep your leg out of the water so the shaving cream doesn't wash off, slipping around. It's an occupational hazard.
we will just have to agree to disagree because you are denying yourself the ultimate luxury of being completely horizontal while bathing.
I just can't.
It was the only socially acceptable way to lie down and be productive at the same time.
Showers are superior. I will die on this hill. But speaking of contemplating trauma, I went down a TikTok rabbit hole last night instead of going to sleep.
Typical.
I know, but babes, we found something so chaotic. And honestly, the overarching theme of our episode today is how people's lives turn into absolute nightmares.
Oh, this trend was dark, fascinating, highly entertaining, but deeply dark.
So there's this prompt going around where you list the top 5 eras of your life that would be literal horror movies.
Right. Like if they filmed it, it would be produced by A24.
Yes. Directed by Ari Aster, complete with the weird string music and the slow zoom-ins. Like if 2019 was a nightmare, that's a horror film. We had to do it. We have to expose ourselves before we expose these reality stars today.
I'll brace myself. You go first, because your emotional recall for these things is always terrifyingly specific.
Oh, I have mine ready. Number 1, absolutely, is the 2018 I can fix him but he doesn't own a bed frame era.
Oh, God. The mattress on the floor.
The entire year was a psychological thriller. I was dating this guy who had a mattress directly on the floor, one fork in his kitchen.
One fork.
One single fork. And he communicated exclusively in mixed signals and late-night Spotify links.
The Spotify links are a massive red flag.
The amount of mental gymnastics I did to convince myself he was a misunderstood creative genius and not just a toxic freeloader. Terrifying. The jump scare of that movie is me sitting on his floor mattress, crying while he explains his vision board for a streetwear brand that didn't exist.
The lack of a bed frame is the ultimate atmospheric dread of modern dating. It's the moment the protagonist walks into the haunted house and realizes all the doors have locked behind them.
Exactly.
What's number 2?
The first corporate job out of college era. The fluorescent lighting alone was a horror movie aesthetic.
Oh, the lighting is always so hostile.
Hostile. I had a boss who didn't know how to convert a Word document to a PDF. Listen to the mechanics of this. I had to print them out, physically walk to the scanner, scan them as a PDF, and email them back to her.
Every day.
Every single day. I was drinking 4 iced coffees a day, developing a permanent eye twitch, and pretending to care about synergy. The climax of the film is just the sound of the copy machine jamming while a low synth note plays in the background.
The existential dread of the 9-to-5 grind is pure psychological torture. Okay, let's look at my top eras.
I need to hear these.
Number 1 for me has to be the over-intellectualizing my emotions so I don't have to actually feel them era of 2021.
Oh, wait, I remember that era. You were unapproachable.
The horror is in the complete detachment from reality. I was walking around like a robot, reading pop psychology textbooks instead of going to therapy, telling everyone I was processing my trauma when I was actually just burying everything under a mountain of therapeutic jargon.
You literally spoke like a guidance counselor for 6 months.
The twist ending is when I finally had a total breakdown in the middle of a Target aisle over a slightly bruised banana.
The Target breakdown, the aesthetic of sobbing next to the decorative throw pillows is so real.
And my number 2, definitely the buying 40 houseplants to simulate control over my life era.
Oh my God, the jungle apartment.
The apartment was a literal jungle. I couldn't keep a relationship alive. My career was stalling out, but by God, my monstera plant was thriving.
You were watering them with a little mister and everything?
I was channeling all my unaddressed emotional baggage into botanical care, but the true horror movie aspect was the gnats.
Ooh.
The soil gnats. Swarms of them. It was like a biblical plague in my living room, all because I refused to text my ex back and instead bought a $60 fiddle leaf fig.
You literally created a haunted forest in your own home to avoid commitment. I love it. Babes, you have to let us know in the comments or the DMs what your life horror movies are.
Yes, misery loves company, and the Snark Squad always delivers the best traumatic flashbacks.
We need to know we aren't alone in this. Okay, quick housekeeping before we get into the absolute mess that is the internet today. Also, babes, We've been getting such good feedback on the celebrity sightings episodes, and honestly, we hear you.
They really are so fun to do.
Those are here to stay. We love bringing you the extra chaos outside of reality TV, and clearly you do too.
It's one thing to watch these people carefully curated on our screens, but hearing about them acting out in the wild at a random Tuesday night dinner in West Hollywood, that is the real gold.
Exactly. Okay, babes, caffeine is kicking in, the chaos is already unfolding. Let's get into today's gossip.
Let's do it! Because today, the mission is looking at the dark side of the cameras. What actually happens when the checks stop clearing?
Right, like what happens when the infrastructure of a production company disappears and these people are left to navigate their real, messy, horrifying lives. We're covering lost custodies, restraining orders, leaked texts. It is heavy today.
The overarching theme is the false security of the reality TV bubble, and there is no better place to start than the biggest structural collapse currently happening in the Bravo universe, the freezing of South Beach.
I am emotionally devastated. The Real Housewives of Miami pause is a crime against culture.
It really is a massive shift.
Andy Cohen was just on Watch What Happens Live, giving a so-called hopeful update. But I don't feel hopeful. I feel betrayed by the network.
Let's dissect the corporate speak that was actually used, though. Andy essentially washed his hands of the decision entirely. He said, and I quote the sentiment here, "This was not my decision. Yes, it is paused, and frankly, I'm happy that people are so passionate about it." And then he pointed the finger directly at the ratings.
The ratings excuse makes me want to throw this microphone across the room. How is Miami paused when it literally just gave us a jaw-dropping Season 7 reunion?
The reunion was top tier.
The fashion, the screaming, the sheer delusion of these women. We had Lisa Hochstein fighting for her life in a neon gown. We had Alexia Napola speaking a mile a minute, reading people to filth, and they put it on pause.
Well, Alexia is literally begging fans on the internet to stream it. She's pleading with us like a telethon.
It's so sad. She's like, please watch us on Peacock.
It's a fascinating look at how television networks evaluate success right now, because there's a massive disconnect between cultural impact and linear viewership.
What do you mean?
If you look at social media engagement, Miami is dominant. The gifs of Marisol's liver, the memes, the TikTok sounds, they are cultural touchstones, they drive the zeitgeist. But linear TV ratings, meaning the people who sit down at a specific time with a cable box, are allegedly the lowest of all the franchises.
But nobody watches live TV anymore.
Exactly. They are evaluating a 2026 show with a 2014 metric. So why are people sleeping on Miami? Are they just waiting to binge it on Peacock 3 months later?
It's insane. And even Miklos Pena from Southern Hospitality was on Watch What Happens Live, advocating for the show. He pointed out something so crucial, how vital the Hispanic representation is.
That was a really strong point he made.
He talked about his own roots in the Dominican Republic and how watching a cast of strong, wealthy, loud, powerful Hispanic women in Miami is so necessary for the network's diversity. And Andy just gives this corporate dodge, like, it'll be back. If it was my decision, it'll be going all the time.
If it were up to me, please. He's an executive producer. He has the ear of the highest executives at NBC Universal. But if we pull back and look at the bigger picture, this pause isn't just about us missing out on good television. It has immediate, real-world ripple effects on the cast's personal lives and their perceived market value.
Which brings us perfectly to the pivot of the century. Larsa Pippen and Jeff Kobe breaking up.
Oh, the timing.
I am unwell over Larsa being back on the market. The whiplash of this woman's romantic life.
The timing is incredibly convenient, isn't it? Let's look at the calendar.
Let's look at it.
After a year together, with Larsa spending the entire summer doing press tours, dropping incredibly heavy hints about engagement rings, talking about wedding planning on every podcast that would have her.
She was literally picking out settings.
Right, and they split a month ago, which is coincidentally the exact same time Bravo announced Miami was being paused.
The math is aggressively mathing. You're telling me she was picking out diamond settings, and the second the production team packs the cameras into a warehouse in Burbank, the relationship is suddenly over. I am screaming.
It is the ultimate reality TV economic indicator. Jeff even deleted his one-year anniversary post from Instagram. They have completely scrubbed each other from their digital footprint.
Brutal.
The official PR spin from the insiders is that she moved in a different direction, or that the romance ran its course. But let's be real about the mechanism of a housewives relationship. Did the romance run its course, or did the utility of the romance expire?
Oh, you are reading her for filth.
Well, when your entire livelihood relies on having a compelling storyline, bringing a new, younger NBA player boyfriend on camera is great television. It guarantees you the center seat at the reunion.
Absolutely.
But when the TV goes away and suddenly there's no camera crew to film your romantic dinners, you move in a different direction.
It is so transparently shady.
Yeah.
But also, can we talk about her dating roster? Because I am obsessed with the absolute chaos of her romantic resume. She completely done with basketball players now.
I mean, she's exhausted the league.
First, she has Scottie Pippen,
Okay.
legendary, iconic, the foundation of her wealth. Then we go into the chaotic Marcus Jordan era, which was a psychological experiment on the entire viewing public.
Dating your ex-husband's legendary teammate's son, just wildly messy.
And now, Jeff Covey. Where does she go from here? Does she pivot to the NFL? Does she find a Silicon Valley tech bro?
Larsa Pippen attempting to integrate into the life of a Patagonia fleece-wearing Silicon Valley tech bro would be the ultimate culture clash. I would pay premium cable prices just to watch her trying to navigate a conversation about blockchain.
She would just nod and look at her nails.
But honestly, she needs someone who can fund the lifestyle while she waits for this pause to end, because the lifestyle of a housewife, the glam squads, the leased cars, the events, it's essentially a massive overhead cost. And when the Bravo paycheck stops, the delusion of their wealth starts to crack.
Which serves as the perfect narrative bridge into our next topic. Because if we're talking about the false security of reality TV and what happens when the infrastructure collapses, we have to talk about Kim Zolciak.
This is genuinely bleak.
My jaw physically hit the floor this morning. We are going from Larsa losing her man to Kim literally losing her children for a television check.
Yeah.
I'm in pure emotional shock over this.
It is arguably one of the darkest, most protracted descents of a reality TV family we have ever witnessed. For anyone who hasn't been following this agonizing saga, Kim just lost primary physical custody of her minor children to Kroy Biermann.
Let's break down the actual logistics of this because it is staggering. Kroy filed an emergency motion demanding sole custody, claiming that Kim flat out neglects the kids.
Neglect is a huge word in family court.
And his primary piece of evidence, the fact that she left the country in the middle of the most toxic, financially ruinous, police-involved divorce we've ever seen. She packed her Louis Vuitton luggage and left the country for a month to film 2 reality shows.
Her priorities are a fascinating, horrifying study in reality TV psychology. Kroy argued to the judge that she is fundamentally not a present parent and that she is more selfishly concerned with her own image and her work options.
Which is clearly true.
And the judge, looking at the objective facts of the case, sided with him. Kroy now has sole physical custody and the final say on their education, non-emergency medical decisions, and religious upbringing.
Think about the environment those kids have been living in. The mansion has been on the brink of foreclosure a dozen times.
They've canceled the auction like 4 times.
The power allegedly gets shut off.
Yeah.
The police have been called to that house so many times, the dispatchers probably know their gate code by heart. And amidst all that trauma, how do you look at your minor children and say, hold on, kids, Mommy have to go be on television in a jungle for 30 days to try and secure a bag?
It's the ultimate consequence of treating your actual life like an endless television production. When your reality has been shaped by the presence of a camera crew since 2008, you lose the ability to differentiate between being a mother and being a cast member.
She thinks it's all a storyline.
Kim operates under the delusion that securing screen time is the equivalent of providing stability. I genuinely applaud Kroy for getting some legal intervention in that house. The man has been fighting a losing battle against her wig collection, her alleged gambling habits, and her complete detachment from reality for years.
But Kim's response to the ruling is what truly highlights the depth of her delusion.
Yes. The statement.
She released a statement claiming this is only temporary until their May 21st court date, where the truth will finally come out. What truth?
There is no secret truth.
What magical piece of evidence could possibly justify abandoning the home front for a month while your house is falling apart? Is she going to tell the judge she was on a secret CIA mission? The truth is, you wanted a check, you needed the attention, and you chose the cameras over your kid.
Exactly. Unless her truth is that she was physically kidnapped by the casting directors, which, let's be honest, she sprinted to the airport. There is no viable defense for a family court judge looking at the stability of those children. Family courts prioritize consistency and presence. Kim provided neither.
None at all.
It's a tragic situation, but it perfectly illustrates the central theme today. When the Bravo machine stops protecting you, the real world comes crashing in with devastating legal consequences.
It is so heavy. But speaking of housewives who cannot stop fighting, and bringing us back to the sheer pettiness of these women, we have a new, incredibly toxic entry in the Dorrit-Kemsley feud catalog.
Yes. Shifting gears from family court to the podcasting wars. Dorrit-Kemsley versus Teddy Mellencamp.
I'm defending Dorrit on this one with my whole chest. And I rarely defend Dorrit.
Ah.
But Teddy is giving pure, unadulterated, desperate, mean girl energy.
Let's lay out the context for the Snark Squad. For anyone who hasn't obsessively mapped out the Beverly Hills social hierarchy, the Fox Force 5 was this impenetrable alliance consisting of Kyle, Rinna, Erica, Dorrit, and Teddy. They ran the show for years.
They were a mafia.
But that ecosystem has completely collapsed. On her podcast recently, Teddy and Tamra Judge were dissecting an interview PK gave about his ongoing divorce from Dorrit. Teddy started joking about the infamous scene where Dorrit's home was burglarized.
This is so messed up.
She questioned if Dorrit's crying, and that very dramatic moment of her hugging Mauricio Humansky was a created scenario.
Which is vile. To mock a home invasion where a woman had a literal gun held to her head. To insinuate she faked PTSD for a storyline.
It gets worse. Because then Teddy brought up PK's specific comment where he said he looked at Dorrit recently and wondered, "Who are you?" And Teddy explicitly took to the microphone and asked, did he mean because of the plastic surgery or how she mentally was acting?
Coming for her face, that is such a low blow, even for Teddy. Dorrit immediately clapped back on Instagram, commenting, "Sad to see someone who once called me a friend go this low." And for once, I completely agree with Dorrit.
It's rare for us to agree with Dorrit, but yeah.
Teddy is just desperately trying to stay relevant by weaponizing trauma and attacking people on her podcast because she doesn't have a diamond anymore.
Well, it's the cruelty of the podcast metric system. When you are an ex-housewife hosting a recap podcast, your currency is controversy. The plastic surgery comment was undeniably shady and unnecessary. However, if we look at the landscape of Beverly Hills, Dorrit has systematically burned every single bridge she had.
That's true. She is on an island right now.
Her bond with Kyle is completely dead. She fought with Erica over the reunion comments. She explicitly told Sutton she didn't want to be friends. When you alienate the entire cast, you leave yourself incredibly vulnerable. Teddy is essentially acting as Kyle's attack dog.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Kyle can keep her hands clean on the show while Teddy does the dirty work on the podcast. Of course Teddy is going to come for her.
But the Mauricio hug? I can't get over that. To insinuate that she choreographed a trauma response.
Yeah.
Just because they all hate her now.
It's a brutal accusation, but it's the environment they've created. When you live your life on camera and you selectively edit which parts of your life the audience gets to see, people are naturally going to question the authenticity of every tier. It's the gig economy theater of reality television.
It's so dark.
But moving from the performative trauma of Beverly Hills to the absolute scorched earth warfare of Atlanta, we have to talk about Fallen Pina waking up and choosing violence against Porsha Williams.
Yes, I live for Fallen destroying Portia's fake accountability to her.
Yeah.
I am begging for the receipts.
The timeline of this entire saga is legendary. For a quick refresher, Porsha was engaged to Simon Gobadia, who was previously married to Phelan, who Porsha was introduced to on the show.
The ultimate betrayal.
Porsha recently divorced Simon, secured her peach to return to Atlanta, and is now doing a massive PR cleanup tour. She went on Carlos King's podcast to do damage control. She tried to take full accountability for the optics of her timeline with Simon, claiming she knew certain things about Phelan's marriage failing, but didn't feel it was her place to reveal them.
The optics.
She also pushed the narrative that she and Phelan were never really friends before filming.
And Phelan saw that perfectly rehearsed interview and said, "Absolutely not today, Satan." She took to social media and posted, "IKYFL. I know you're Phelan lying."
She was not having it.
She called Porsha Captain Save-A-Ho and threatened to blow the dust off her receipts. Phelan even claims that Portia's ex, Dennis McKinley, the hot dog king himself, confirmed to her that Porsha and Simon were secretly dating for an entire year while Phelan was still happily married to him.
This is where we need to break down the actual mechanism of Porsha's PR strategy, because taking accountability for the optics is the most brilliant, insidious reality TV non-apology ever invented.
It really is. It sounds like an apology, but it's not.
Think about what that phrase actually means. It's the politician's maneuver. You don't say, I stole the cookies. You say, I take full accountability for the fact that my hand was perceived in the cookie jar, and I validate your feelings about the missing cookies.
Validate your feelings. Exactly.
It deflects the blame onto the audience's perception rather than her own actions. Portia knows exactly what she's doing. She's scrubbing her image so she can be the hero of the new season.
Well, Phelan is acting as a massive roadblock to that hero edit. Drop the receipts, Phelan. Release the text messages, release the timestamps, show us the location data. We want it all. Don't just tease us.
The audience's thirst for documented proof is insatiable. But let's look at the broader theme here. The geography of desperation. Because while Atlanta and Beverly Hills are fighting within their own zip codes, other Bravo stars are crossing state lines, fleeing their hometowns, and migrating to cause absolute chaos.
Starting with Meghan King. The Meghan Bureau of Investigation herself has officially moved from the Midwest to New York City, and the details are sending me into orbit.
It is a masterclass in chaotic pivoting. Let's look at the trajectory that led her to Manhattan. She loses custody of her 3 kids to Jim Edmonds, her ex-husband. Things get so hostile with Jim's new wife, Courtney, that the police are actually called on Meghan for causing a disturbance on their property.
Which is unhinged.
So what is the logical next step for a grounded, rational adult facing a family crisis? You flee the Midwest, move to NYC to sell real estate, obviously.
And she is not just selling real estate. She is out in the streets of Manhattan at dimly lit bars, making out with Kyle Cook from Summer House. Kyle Cook, the man with the mullet, the Loverboy empire, the man whose marriage to Amanda Batula is the central conflict of an entire television show. Are we witnessing the birth of the most unhinged crossover couple in history? I'm spiraling just thinking about their dinner conversations. What do they even talk about?
The visual of Meghan King's frantic, investigative energy combining with Kyle Cook's late-night DJ booth, Loverboy-fueled stamina is terrifying. It is the most midlife crisis reality TV pivot imaginable. You lose your kids, the cops are called, your life is crumbling, so you flee to the East Coast to kiss a Bravo frat boy.
It's like Mad Libs.
And the weirdest logistical detail of this entire story. According to the reports, she now shares a dog with RHONY alum Carol Radziwill because Meghan's brother is good friends with Carol.
I need to understand the logistics of co-parenting a canine across the country. Do they fly the dog on JetBlue every other weekend? And I cannot even picture Meghan King and Carol Radziwill in the same room. The energy is so completely fundamentally opposite.
They're polar opposites.
Meghan is pure, unbridled, chaotic energy, and Carol is just sitting there on a velvet sofa in a cool leather jacket, silently judging her life choices.
It's an incredible pairing. But speaking of New York crossovers and securing the bag, Margaret Josephs from New Jersey was just spotted filming with the New York OGs.
The internet caught Marge filming for the new Palm Beach spinoff series, The Golden Life, with Luan de Lesseps. And the photo that leaked is incredible because Luan is literally wearing a T-shirt featuring her own 2017 Palm Beach mugshot while filming with Marge.
The sheer theatricality of wearing your own mugshot from the night you slipped your handcuffs in a police car while filming a new show in the exact same city, it's high camp. But let's talk about what Marge is actually doing there. I will predict this right now. Margaret Josephs is actively auditioning for a new job.
Oh, absolutely. The Real Housewives of New Jersey is essentially a burning building.
Exactly. The cast is fractured beyond repair. They couldn't even film a traditional reunion. They had to sit in separate rooms and watch a screening like they were at a hostile corporate seminar. The writing is on the wall for a total reboot.
So she's jumping ship.
Marge is a tactician. She knows the Bravo infrastructure in Jersey is collapsing. What better way to secure your continued paycheck than networking with an ensemble cast of legacy women? She's crossing over to prove her utility. It's corporate survival at its finest.
Game respects game. If your ship is sinking, you jump on the nearest yacht. But you know who isn't respecting the game at all? Ashley Iaconetti on The Real Housewives of Rhode Island.
Oh, the Bachelor crossover experiment is failing.
Kelsey Swanson just dragged her for absolute filth, and I'm here for it.
Kelsey went on Page Six's virtual reality podcast and basically outlined how Ashley treats the entire production like a literal 9-to-5 office job. She explained that Ashley hasn't hung out with the cast since the camera stopped rolling months ago. She doesn't reply to text messages. She only ever agrees with her one ally, Rosie DeMare, and she refuses to engage in any off-camera dynamics. Kelsey literally said, it's like a job. She goes to work, and then she goes home, and you don't hear from her.
This makes me so unbelievably heated. If you are cast on a reality show, you do not get to clock out at 5 p.m. We do not want clock punchers. We want authentic mess.
We want the 3 a.m. chaos.
We want group chats that are on fire at 2 a.m. We want you screaming at a Tuesday brunch because someone didn't invite you to a charity gala. If you just show up, hit your marks, say your rehearsed lines, agree with your one friend, and go home to sit in silence, get off my television.
It is the ultimate betrayal of the unwritten contract between the reality star and the audience. We, as viewers, invest our time under the assumption that these relationships, while heightened for TV, are based on genuine or at least functionally toxic real-world connections.
Exactly. We want to believe they hate each other for real.
We want to believe that when the cameras go down, the group chat is still fighting. When someone like Ashley, who came from the highly produced environment of Bachelor Nation, openly treats this new show as a transactional Zoom gig where she just stays on mute until she's called on, it completely shatters the illusion.
She doesn't understand Bravo.
Reality TV is gig economy theater. If you aren't actively juggling fire for our amusement, the algorithm will fire you.
Give your apple or your diamond or your clam, whatever they hold in Rhode Island, to someone who is willing to actually bleed for the drama. But if you think Ashley clocking out is bad, let's move into our next major theme today. The facade of reality TV masculinity is completely collapsing under scrutiny. The men are not okay.
The men are requiring massive psychological and legal intervention today. Let's start with Stephen McBee Jr. from the Peacock reality show The McBee Dynasty.
Absolute trash behavior. For anyone who doesn't watch, it's essentially a reality TV version of Yellowstone centered around a farming family. And Stephen was out here publicly humiliating his ex-girlfriend, Allie Eklund, accusing her of cheating on him at the Stagecoach Music Festival.
The Stagecoach drama is always messy.
Always. He was playing the ultimate victim on social media, saying his phone was blowing up with videos of her with another guy, crying that they had just talked about their future together. He was rallying the internet to attack her. But then, Allie and his other ex, Kella Jackson, teamed up and released the most aggressive, degrading, misogynistic text messages he had sent them.
The text leaks completely decimated his victim narrative in real time. It was a spectacular backfire. The public backlash was so swift and severe that Stephen had to execute an immediate PR pivot.
It was a terrible pivot.
He went straight to the press, admitted he has a quote-unquote anger problem, and announced his solution. He is entering a 6-day intensive anger retreat. 6 days.
Absolute disgust. You think a 6-day retreat is going to cure deep-rooted misogyny and verbal abuse? Give me a break. You do not unlearn a lifetime of toxic behavior and entitlement towards women in less than a week. That is barely enough time to detox from your smartphone, let alone fundamentally restructure your entire personality.
Let's pull back the curtain and explain the PR playbook happening here. A 6-day retreat for a wealthy reality star is not clinical rehabilitation. It is a luxury PR car wash.
A PR car wash, yes.
You go in dirty on a Monday, you stay off your phone so the internet news cycle burns itself out, you probably do some restorative yoga and journal for an hour a day, and you come out on Sunday with a certificate of growth so your network and your sponsors don't drop you. It's a bandage on a bullet wound.
And what makes me even more angry is how he weaponized therapy language in his apology statement.
Yes, he blamed his actions on trying to break the family cycle of trauma and seeing this aggressive behavior modeled growing up. It is the most classic reality TV trope of the 2020s. Weaponize therapy speak to absolve yourself of personal accountability, but only after the terrible screenshots leaked to the public.
If Allie hadn't posted the receipts, he would still be playing the heartbroken cowboy victim.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not sorry he verbally abused those women. He's sorry he got caught being a monster in writing. Boy, bye. Enjoy your 6 days of breathing exercises. We are not buying it. But Stephen isn't the only man acting completely unhinged. We have to talk about the toxic wasteland that is Southern hospitality right now.
The drama between Emmy and Bradley in Charleston has escalated from petty club squabbles to a legitimate legal threshold. Emmy's text messages to her castmate Mickles Pena leaked online, and she makes some incredibly severe claims.
Huge claims.
She states that Bradley made her feel unsafe by invading her hotel room, and she accused him of committing a literal felony by illegally recording a private conversation between her mother, and Will Culp.
A felony. She is throwing out massive, life-ruining legal words. She was texting that she felt gaslit by the rest of the cast for not defending her and saying she legitimately could sue Bradley. And Bradley's response to all this, he goes on the Threads app, calls her text fiffing disgusting, and says he's glad he said what he said at the reunion.
We need to analyze the terminology being deployed here because it's heavily loaded. Emmy is throwing around words like felony and illegal recording. Now, South Carolina is a one-party consent state for recording, meaning Bradley could legally record a conversation he was a part of.
Wait, really? So it's not a felony?
Likely not in that state. If this happened in New York or another two-party consent state, her legal threat might actually hold weight. However, the cast pushed back heavily on her use of the word unsafe.
Right. The leaked texts show Emmy complaining that the cast told her using the word unsafe towards a man of color is a dangerous microaggression. And Emmy is basically texting, nobody will explain to me why it is, they just tell me I can't say it.
It's a fascinating collision of real-world social dynamics crashing into reality TV melodrama. Weaponizing the word unsafe is a very common tactic when someone wants to completely shut down an opponent's argument. Instead of just admitting they are losing a verbal fight, they elevate the stakes to physical peril. It immediately paints the other person as an aggressor.
Right, it's a huge escalation.
But on the flip side, if he actually did secretly record her and aggressively enter her room, her feeling of violation is entirely valid. It's a complete messy entanglement of legal threats and PR spins.
And amidst all this heavy stuff in Charleston, we also had Mia Ilario claiming Lindsay Hubbard from Summer House iced her out at BravoCon over West Wilson.
Yes, Lindsay Hubbard, the PR machine of the Hamptons.
I am defending my chopped cheese queen, Mia. So Mia went on a few dates with West Wilson. And she says at BravoCon, Lindsay gave her the absolute cold shoulder. During a panel, Lindsay allegedly asked West about Mia, literally asking how many followers does she have.
That is so dark.
And Mia joked about it on a podcast, saying, bitch, I got like 60,000 followers.
Yeah.
Literally, like small fry chopped cheese.
Lindsay denying it, but also essentially validating it in the same breath is so perfectly on brand. Lindsay released a statement saying, if I was cold, it wasn't intentional, I was busy running around. But asking about a woman's Instagram follower count to gauge her worthiness to date a cast member, that is peak influencer elitism. Follower counts are the currency of their world.
It is so elitist. Let Mia live. But we need to completely pause the snark for a second, because speaking of Wes Wilson, we have to transition to something that is actually genuinely horrifying. This isn't reality TV drama. This is real-world tragedy.
Yes. We need to acknowledge a very somber shift here. While we sit here analyzing who unfollowed who and dissecting the petty influencer beefs, Wes Wilson's real-life family is dealing with a genuine, unimaginable tragedy. His cousin, Dakota Sweeney, has been arrested and charged with the first-degree murder of their 75-year-old step-grandmother, Gail Wilson.
I read the details this morning and my stomach completely dropped. This happened literally the evening before the Summer House reunion taped in New York.
Yeah.
The police received a 911 call and the dispatch audio was released.
That's awful.
The audio says the subject possibly shot his mother-in-law. The police arrived, found the grandmother dead, and Dakota was reportedly just sitting quietly in a room for half an hour before the police arrived. And the alleged motive. They say he shot her over an argument about household chores.
Over household chores. It is unfathomably bleak. The police found a holster on him. He didn't resist arrest. He just surrendered. And the fact that this occurred the night before Wes had to go sit on a brightly lit soundstage for 10 hours, wear a designer suit, and argue about his relationship status and texting habits with Amanda Batula, it puts everything we consume into a very stark, uncomfortable perspective.
It really forces us, as viewers, to realize the immense cognitive dissonance of reality television. We demand entertainment and vulnerability from these people while completely forgetting they have real lives, real families, and are sometimes living through active, unimaginable trauma while the cameras are rolling. How do we consume this ethically?
It's the central dilemma of the genre. We talk about reality TV as if it's the center of the universe, as if a paused contract or a leaked text message is the end of the world. But real-world horror is happening simultaneously behind the scenes. It makes the petty squabbles look utterly insignificant. It's a grim reminder of actual reality.
My heart genuinely goes out to their family, because dealing with that kind of profound loss and trauma while the public is watching and dissecting your every move on a TV show is unimaginable.
It is. But as we process the darker sides of reality, we inevitably have to look at the darkest corners of the internet algorithm, which brings us to our final discussion today. From genuine real-life tragedy, we transition to the toxic depths of influencer culture, because we have to talk about the two people on reality TV right now who represent the absolute bottom of the barrel.
We are absolutely not holding back today. If you are sensitive to rage, cover your ears, because I am coming for Janelle Evans and Taylor Frankie Paul. The mandate of the day is fuck Janelle Evans and fuck Taylor. We are not fans. We do not support them. Let's start with the Teen Mom trash fire.
The feud between Farrah Abraham and Janelle Evans has reignited, and it is a race to the Earth's core. For context, these two have been circling each other in the MTV universe for over a decade. Janelle recently decided to post on social media, completely unprovoked, asking why Farrah is pimping her daughter out to the paparazzi.
I am going off. Janelle Evans has zero, and I mean absolute zero, room to talk about literally anyone's parenting on this planet. Are you kidding me? The absolute sheer delusion it takes for Janelle, of all people, to point a finger at another mother, the woman who has lost custody, who has subjected her children to horrific environments, whose life is a perpetual police report.
She has no high ground. None.
Farrah fired back immediately, calling Janelle a horrible mom, calling her broke, calling her a sick, pedo-abusive sicko mom, and the ultimate insult, told her to go smoke weed with Kiefer.
A Kiefer reference in 2026. That is truly a blast from the cultural past. For anyone who didn't watch MTV in the 2010s, Kiefer was Janelle's infamous green hoodie-wearing ex-boyfriend who basically became the poster child for making terrible life choices while wearing comfortable outerwear.
I missed the green hoodie.
Farrah didn't stop there. She hit Janelle with a formal cease and desist letter. Janelle responded by telling Farrah to shove it up her ass and threatened to expose Farrah for allegedly preying on young boys. Farrah then immediately ran to Reality Blurb for an exclusive interview, delivering one of her classic word salad speeches complaining about bullying and harassment.
It is all so incredibly gross, but I am team nobody here, except maybe I'm slightly team Farrah just because Janelle is that awful. Janelle telling someone to get help, Janelle creating a toxic, dangerous environment for her kids for 15 years, and then having the audacity to judge Farrah.
Here is the most accurate observation about this entire feud. When Farrah Abraham, a woman who has built a lucrative career on the most bizarre, chaotic, and problematic behavior imaginable, is the one holding the moral high ground and successfully reading you to filth, you have hit rock bottom. You are under the rock. You are residing in the Earth's mantle.
Farrah literally told her, your kids can give you a fuck you suck as a mom gift for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That is brutal, but honestly, earned. Janelle is a masterclass in zero self-awareness. But if we want to talk about zero self-awareness and the active destruction of children's lives for the sake of an algorithm, we have to talk about the dark reality of the secret lives of Mormon wives.
Yes. This brings us to Taylor Frankie Paul and Dakota Mortensen. And this is no longer just TikTok drama or Hulu reality TV storylines. This is court-documented domestic violence.
I am highly emotional and so incredibly angry about this. Fuck Taylor. I am so disgusted by the toxicity surrounding a 2-year-old child.
Let's break down the actual family court hearing from yesterday. The judge granted both Taylor and Dakota 3-year mutual restraining orders, a strict 100-foot stay-away order for the next 3 years. This legal action stems from documented domestic violence incidents that occurred in 2024 and again in February 2026.
And in the courtroom, Dakota's lawyer explicitly labeled him a male domestic violence victim. The lawyer stated that Dakota waited to do anything legally because he was legitimately afraid of the force and public backlash that would happen against him, and that he was coerced back into the relationship by Taylor using romantic interest and access to their son as leverage.
Analytically, breaking down the judge's assessment is critical here because it explains the mechanics of their dynamic. The judge stated that the physical violence occurred both ways. He called the relationship a toxic obsession, but the exact psychological terms he used to describe them were very specific and revealing. He called Dakota calculating and deliberative, while he labeled Taylor as reactive. That is a massive distinction in a domestic dispute case.
Wait, break that down for the Snark Squad. What does calculating versus reactive actually mean in this context?
It describes a specific, insidious psychological trap often seen in highly publicized toxic relationships. Calculating implies that one person methodically orchestrates situations behind closed doors. They push every single invisible button, they inflict the emotional paper cuts, they quietly wind the other person up until they completely snap.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then, once the reactive person explodes, often violently or hysterically, the calculating person pulls out their phone, starts recording, and says to the audience, "Look how crazy and abusive she is acting." It's a dynamic where both are at fault, but the abuse operates on different spectrums. One covert and psychological, the other overt and physical.
But Taylor's lawyer tried to spin it, saying Dakota's just trying to destroy her reputation and take full custody to ruin her life. Well, guess what? The judge saw through all of it and kept custody primarily with Dakota. Taylor only gets 8 hours of supervised visitation a week. Think about the logistics of that. The fact that a judge looked at a mother with a massive Hulu television show, millions of TikTok followers, and immense financial resources, and decided she only gets to see her 2-year-old child for 8 hours a week. That speaks absolute volumes about the horrors happening behind closed doors.
It truly does, and we have to address the complicity of the platforms. The Hulu cameras and the TikTok algorithm are actively fueling a profoundly dangerous environment. These people are financially and socially incentivized to be as chaotic, dramatic, and boundary-pushing as possible. The more toxic they are, the more views they get. The more views they get, the bigger the brand deals. But when you mix that financial incentive with alcohol, miscarriages, physical violence, and an innocent 2-year-old child, it is a recipe for a genuine, irreversible catastrophe.
And at the very end of the court hearing, after the restraining orders are issued, Taylor deactivates all her social media accounts to play the victim, but then physically walks over and hugs Dakota's mom in the courtroom, saying out loud, "This was my goodbye to a family, my older kids, and I loved deeply. It is so manipulative. It is pure performance art for the gallery and the reporters."
The mutual 3-year restraining order is the only sane protective measure to come out of this entire saga. The judge literally told them, "You are linked for life. You will be at the same weddings and graduations in 20 years, and right now you are currently modeling how to deal with conflict to a toddler." They had to be legally forced by the state to stay 100 feet apart because they are completely incapable of not destroying each other.
It makes me physically sick. I cannot stand her. I cannot stand the fact that this innocent kid is trapped in the middle of this calculating, reactive, algorithm-driven warfare.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for the Snark Squad to really mull over tonight. Look at the landscape we just covered today. We have Kim Zolciak abandoning her children to secure a reality TV check, ultimately losing custody. We have Meghan King losing her kids and spiraling in Manhattan. We have Stephen McBee Jr. getting exposed for verbal abuse and hiding in a PR retreat. We have Bravo stars threatening felonies over secret recordings. And we have Taylor Frankie Paul requiring a 3-year mutual restraining order while fighting over an infant.
It is incredibly heavy. The facade is completely gone.
It is. With all these restraining orders, lost custodies, and legal interventions, are we watching the final collapse of the influencer reality TV era? For years, audiences demanded raw authenticity from reality stars. But now, the line between performing for the camera and genuine real-life self-destruction has completely vanished. At what point do the cameras stop being a lucrative paycheck and become an active, dangerous hazard to these people's actual lives?
That is a question that is genuinely going to keep me up tonight. And honestly, the sheer emotional exhaustion of today's news cycle is getting to me. From the 9 a.m. Burger King psychological trauma to domestic violence court hearings, the chaos of this world is truly unmatched.
We need a collective nap. And I will say it again, a hot girl bath to process the trauma.
Don't push your luck. But seriously, thank you to the Snark Squad for being here with us through all of this absolute madness today.
Yeah.
You are the only ones who truly understand our spirals and our outrage.
Please remember to subscribe, rate the show, and share this episode with your messiest friend. We need the group chat fully informed and ready to debate these court rulings.
Stay caffeinated, stay
Yeah.
chaotic, and we will see you on the Snark side.